I study mindsets. Mindsets are beliefs about the nature and workings of human attributes. We're going to look at this when it comes to curiosity, intellect, and achievement. Then we're going to look at it in terms of adjustment and mental health, and then we'll look at it briefly in terms of physical health. So let's start with mindsets about intelligence. In our work, we find that children and adults can have different perspectives on intelligence. Some favor the view that intelligence is just a fixed trait. You have a certain amount and that's it. Some people are lucky, they have a lot, they're the chosen few, and others are not so lucky, but nothing much you can do about it. However, others favor what we call a growth mindset. It's the view that whatever intellectual abilities you have, they can be developed through effort, but not just effort and hard work, learning good strategies, and lots of help, input, and support, and instruction from others. Now, in a growth mindset, you don't believe everyone's the same or anyone can necessarily be Einstein, but you believe that everyone has the capacity for growth. An important thing to keep in mind is it's not one or the other. As you'll see, we can have different mindsets in different domains. You can think your intelligence is fixed, but your personality can become ever more wonderful, or vice versa. Also, we can, at different times, have different mindsets, even in the same domain. I may, in general, believe that intelligence can be developed, but there may be triggers in the environment that sometimes make me doubt that. If I'm facing a big challenge, if I'm having a setback, struggling and not making progress, if I see someone who's much better and more successful than me at something I thought I was great at, these are times that can trigger me into a fixed mindset. And then the idea is, how do I get back? So let's keep that in mind and come back to it later. Now, people often say to me, so which mindset is true? Maybe it's good to have a growth mindset, but what's the truth? Now, as with every dichotomy, it's, some of both. But what's so exciting is that neuroscience is showing us on a daily basis, practically, the tremendous plasticity of the brain, much greater than we ever believed. Some of my favorite findings in recent years is how research by Takao Hench and others, reopening critical periods. Critical periods are sensitive periods, or time when particular kinds of learning are privileged. And we think that we used to think the window just closed or almost closed after that period. And yet, through genetic, pharmacological, and even behavioral psychological means, we're learning how to reopen some of those critical periods to promote growth and learning again. So let's look at how mindsets work in the domain of achievement. Recently, a few years back, we had the privilege of studying all the 10th graders in the country of Chile, 168,000 students. And what we found in this study, we were able to, by the way, assess the mindsets that they favored, whether they believed intelligence was basically fixed or instead could be developed. And then we checked in on their achievement. And what we found was that at every level of family income, there was a significant gap between those students who endorsed a growth versus fixed mindset. And the advantage was for the kids who endorsed the growth mindset. That gap was particularly large among the poorest students. And a growth mindset was least prevalent among the poorer students. So in no way are we saying, oh, forget poverty, just give them a mindset. No way. Poverty obviously has so many pernicious effects. But we're beginning to think that maybe one of the ways that poverty has a negative effect on achievement is by making the idea of growth, the growth of intellectual abilities, less available. And this is something we're following up on. We also have had a lively program of research on changing students' mindsets, on seeing whether if we can promote and instill more of a growth mindset, whether this would help kids thrive over academic challenges. So we've looked at kids making the transition to junior high school or college, and seeing whether they are more successful academically if they approach that transition in a growth mindset. In one study we did, really the first study that we did, students were given, the control group and the experimental group, were given 8 sessions of something good. The control group learned 8 sessions of study skills. We worked with the teachers to find out what kinds of learning skills would be useful for kids that year, that transition to 7th grade. And that's what we taught in a lively and effective way to the students in the control group. But in the experimental group, we combined the learning skills with growth mindset, with the idea that every time you work hard on something challenging, the neurons in your brain form new or stronger connections, and over time, you can get smarter. We made the analogy the brain is like a muscle. When you exercise it, it gets stronger. And we taught them how to put this into practice in their schoolwork. We then checked in on them months later at the end of the year, and we found the red line, the students who had just gotten the study skills, continued to show declining grades. But the students who had gotten the study skills with growth mindset showed a rebound in their grades by the end of the year. David then went on to look at whether a growth mindset online intervention or self-administered intervention could potentially prevent some clinical levels of depression as kids made the transition to high school. That's the year that depression really shoots up. And he wondered, if you don't judge yourself as harshly, as you think about it, if you think about it as a time of growth and learning, rather than a time when you're finding out permanent terrible things about yourself, could this help? And what he found was that there was, across 3 studies, and in each study, a significant reduction in kids reporting depression that reached a clinical threshold. So, learning, people can change, people can grow and develop. You know, everyone's trying to do what they have to do to cope. They're not doing it just to be mean. They're doing it for their own motivated reasons. It doesn't mean they're always going to be that way. It doesn't mean you're always going to be and feel this way. led to reductions in reports of depression. David and his colleagues have also gone on to study stress and anxiety among adolescents, finding that a growth mindset intervention makes them, well, let's think about it. So you're in high school and you're always looking around. It's a threatening environment for many. They're on edge. How am I doing? Am I, oh, whoa, what was that look? Am I being excluded? Am I the next one to be bullied? What's going on? What's happening? Also, I'm struggling with schoolwork for the first time. What does that mean about me? I thought I was smart. Does it mean I'm not smart? Should I avoid challenges so I won't look not smart? So you have all these choices going on all the time. How do you react? So David and his colleagues showed that after a self-administered growth mindset session, kids showed lower anxiety, less threat when they were asked to do public speaking in front of peers, which is a standard stress situation. Public speaking in front of peers who are evaluating you. So in the short run, that chronic stress was reduced and then showed differences over time. I mean, acute stress was reduced and then showed differences over time in chronic stress. To conclude, I hope I've shown you that the beliefs or mindsets adolescents have about themselves and their attributes can play an important role in their health, mental health, achievement trajectories over time. I want to emphasize that the mindset environments students, people are in, are of the utmost importance. I've focused on the individual level today, but the systemic, the environmental level, the mindset cultures people are in, are tremendously important in not only instilling the idea of growth and development, but maintaining it over time.